should companies approach such a hard time in terms of layoffs with respect to culture or termination? And what kind of a culture would if you were building a company, which many of us are, would suggest? And what would be the key non-negotiables, if we can talk about, which you would definitely put inside your cultural playbook, which would define everything in your role? So, how do you see that happening? Paras, why don't you?
Okay.
Start.
So see, if I have to talk about the kind of culture one should build, or I think it's a very personal topic, what kind of cultures you want to build in your company, because mostly cultures are reflection of founders at a lot of times, like how they see the entity operating as a beast in itself. So if I have to talk about probably the one thing which I have taken from Netflix's work culture, I've read a book, No Rules, that was written about their company culture. The one thing which really hit me was, can you inculcate the feeling in your team of not being a family but being a sports team? So a lot of times founders make this aura in the company or this mode in the company that oh, we are a family, we have to stick together, we have to go through thick and thin together, or we have to be best friends, we love each other, this is a family, we'll win the world together. The problem with this is, a lot of times you can't be honest to family, you can't remove under-promise from the family, which is very important for a company to happen. So a good parallel that a company should look at should probably be a sports team, where just mere playing in the 11 in the sports team is a privilege, and even if you go out of the team, that's completely okay, because that's for the team to win. You have to go out so someone better can come. I think if in the cultures in the companies that I'm building, if I'm able to get everyone on the same page that this is like a sports team, this is not a family, and everyone takes this very positively and eventually feels that just being in the team is a privilege, and even if I have to go out someday, it's good because the team probably will win. Because let's say if Dhoni gets retired and moves out of the Indian team, he's not sad about it, because the team has to now move on to either players or team to keep winning in the future. So that's very cool, right? So that's probably
That's very true. What about you guys?
No, absolutely. I'd like to add on that. Paras, I think that's a beautiful analogy of a sports team, because then you have a bigger picture always in mind. You think of something bigger than you, right? One other major thing that I follow, when managing a team, is that I don't like to micromanage at all. I like, what's the point of hiring someone? What's the point of putting someone at a place when you still have to be concerned about each and every move, right? Rather, I want to hire people to take things off my back, and a better person can do it, right? So I'm a big fan of doing like a monthly analysis on things, because you have to give people room as well to try out things and come back with failure. So this was amazing. I read, and a lot of books actually, that how comfortable you are talking about failures. So every week on week, if we are having a meeting and we are comfortable enough among each other to accept that yes, we did fail in this, but what did you learn from that failure? Then it becomes very comfortable, right? In a way that you don't shy away from sharing the reality of things. So like monthly analysis, weekly, kind of coming up that what happened, and just giving them the ownership that just do your job, do what you think is right, and then you have to evaluate. But of course, not a family for sure, more like a sports team.
So don't you think so? Like just not so monthly and weekly are one way, but what I've seen in a lot of companies, and we do the same in ours, is we do a lot of daily stand-ups, which keeps the whole team on their toes with respect to what is the task that is to be achieved and what is the progress, because there's an inherent fear that I don't want to say nothing in my tomorrow's stand-up, right? And people would judge me, and it's a public follow. So
I think I will answer this. At least the culture that we are trying to build, if they are doing nothing, there has to be a reason behind it. And if they can justify the reason that, hey, my previous task was left and I still want to complete that, or it's a creative task that needs a little bit more bandwidth, that could be building an ad out, right? Like building a brand guidelines out. It could be any creative task. And necessarily a lot of founders do that, but sometimes founders don't do that, or founders come from a very tech background and need someone else to do a creative task. And it could also happen on the coding, like it could be in different fields when you're thinking of the architecture, and it takes a couple of days to do a particular task. And they say, hey, I'm just following up on my previous task, and that's absolutely fine because you don't have to be on their toes at each day asking. Because if you're thinking for them, you're not thinking for yourself. I mean, how many decisions can you take in a decision? And if you have a team of say 10 people, can you think for each of them individually what their day will look like? That would be a hell of a task.
So does that mean like you support daily stand-ups? However, just in case people don't have anything to concretely share what they've done the day before, it's fine.
It's not about to check on the day before. We are not teachers. That is based on the OKRs that we follow at least in our company. We look at the OKRs on a weekly basis, what they have achieved. The daily stand-up is to figure out, is there a collaboration that needs to take place? Is there an add-on that someone else can add on and help someone else out? Can things move faster or quicker? Is the reason for a daily stand-up. The daily stand-up is not meant to be done in a manner where it's like, oh, I have to send emails out to my customers. That's not daily stand-up. That's your work. You're going to do your work to achieve a higher NPS if you're in a customer support team.
Yeah.
So daily stand-up is when you figure out what collaboratively you can do, or what's the major task that you're going to achieve by doing certain things. It could be repetitive. If a game is being built out, it takes a week to build out a game. You can say, hey, I'm still building the previous game out. I'm still designing the previous levels of the game.
Just for the audience, since the term OKR was mentioned, OKR is Objectives and Key Results. It's a beautiful framework by John Doerr, and you guys can definitely check it out. There's a whole big ass book on it, which essentially gives a team a framework to achieve certain objectives and figure out the hows to do it in a quarterly kind of a framework. But that's something which we also follow. I think it's become more of a standard norm across all VC-backed startups these days. Or
I've personally dropped it.
Really?
It is a bit complicated, and everyone has a different recipe of OKRs actually.
It's a
that
bit.
we were talking about that day itself.
Absolutely.
Go on to one person, one metric. And just let them
Do it. So you're
I
talking
think-
about the growth equation kind of a...
Yeah, so I'm saying, if, like you just said, growth equation, if company has an objective to achieve, and it can be mathematically represented into an equation of, let's say, X number of variables, then every team member should know what variable in that equation they are.
Yeah.
And they should be only focused on that one variable. This is the ideal setup. What we have tried to do recently, I would say in the past 3-4 months, is that make sure that every person knows their metric and that metric is always relevant. And even in daily stand-ups, they are talking about how can they move towards that metric faster, or have they moved in recent past anywhere closer.
So you are
It
not...
just brings in a lot more context than I think what OKRs do, at least for us.
So you have shifted to a very micro kind of a way where you are checking daily, but you're not looking at, hey, we move this in quarter.
I'm not
we
checking daily, I would say.
But that's like a stand-up, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not
The
giving it a
content.
broad form like 3 months or 2 months or 1 month. Not like that.
I'll probably more focus on what needle are you moving, right? What's your metric?